Oh, friend, if you're watching this awesome video, that means you're already a part of it. Naturally, you should subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything important. Just tap and you're done. Done? Hit the like button. It's really important. The more likes this video gets, the more people will see it, which will be awesome. Don't forget to leave a comment. You can write whatever you want, because you're also the creator of this video.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. Dating Nightmares episode 97 or some shit like that. So I'm at Petco one day. No, I do not have a pet. I was buying dog food for my roommate's dog. This is in Dallas, Texas, and I hear some screaming coming from across the store. Me being a former law enforcement officer, I start skedaddling and shuffling across the aisles, and I hear this woman screaming. I look around aisle 3, and this woman is screaming, kicking her feet, and there's 2 men holding her arms. They're loss prevention. One guy on this arm, one guy on this arm. First of all, I was like, when did fucking Petco get loss prevention? Second of all, what are they doing to her? And they start reaching inside of her jacket, and inside of her pockets, and inside of her purse, and they're pulling out cat food and kitty treats.
If you think your dating life is bad, let me tell you a story. Okay, let me tell you a story. See that back there? That's a suitcase. On Monday, I drove 3.5 hours to go visit a guy because he's in the army and he just never could come visit me. Whatever. So I drive out there to go spend time with him and be close that I can see him every day for 5 days. I come over, he makes me dinner the first night, burnt the dinner to a crisp. Nothing against it, most men can't cook. Not surprised. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make dinner tomorrow night. So tomorrow, the next day, I just go drive around and I go grocery shopping and I get like $30 worth of groceries to make like a chicken garlic parm dinner. I go back to his place. For 2 hours, I am cooking so that the house smells good when he gets home and that he has something hot and ready to eat when he gets home. So I make this dinner, I prepare it in the oven.
Now, I don't know if it's an urban legend or if it's true, but apparently this girl, she went out on this date with this guy. She met him on an app, right? The conversation went well. He seemed like a really nice guy. They both went their separate ways. So she gets settled in her apartment and she gets a message from him. And apparently he's like locked out or something and he can't get in. His roommate's sleeping. He lost his keys, something like that. He's like, can I stay at your place? Red flag number 1. This is why I think it's an urban legend and I'm going to need some proof and some receipts. So she's like, yeah, I felt safe with you. You can come over. She gets him settled on the couch and then she goes into her own room and she locks the door. A few hours later, he knocks on her door and he's like, hey, do you have a phone charger? So she tells him where one is in like the kitchen cabinet or something and he grabs it. He comes back and he knocks and he's like, oh, it's not working. Don't you have one in your room or something? At this point, she finally decides to listen to her gut and have some common sense. And she's like, something's wrong, so she calls the cops. The cops come in, she gets a knock on her bedroom door, and they're like, it's the police. We really think that you need to come out here and see your apartment. We have the man in custody. Apparently, her entire apartment was covered in like plastic sheets and tarps, and there was like hardware and power tools laying out. So obviously, if this is true, this man had some sinister ideas. Now, the reason why I think it might be an urban legend is because you honestly don't want to think that somebody would be that naive.
Story time on why you should be really careful about who you're dating. So this is a true story, friend of a friend kind of thing. There was a young girl, she lived in New York City, and she was on a dating app and matched with this young guy. He seemed like a really great person. He had his stuff together, good job, lived local to the area. They talked for a few weeks. Everything was going really great. No red flags, all of that good stuff. He decides to ask her out one night and they end up going to, she agrees, they end up going to this really nice restaurant. He pays, he's a gentleman, he's nice to wait staff. They wrap up the night and they both go to their respective homes. And after she gets settled at her apartment, she gets text from him saying that he lost his key and he's trying to get a hold of his roommate. His roommate isn't home, but his roommate is also not answering. So he's kind of like stuck outside of his apartment. Just sort of like telling her that, and she just kind of figures, all right, I'll invite you over. So, maybe give him a little bit of time to figure out what's going on, either find his key or get in.
Listen to me. So listen to me. Huh? Listen. I'm gonna call you back in 30 minutes. And you better have answers.
Okay, this dating story is gonna blow your mind. I was on a first date with this guy, and he takes me to dinner in downtown Salt Lake, and he pays for the bill. Gentleman buys my dinner, as he should, in my opinion. And at the end of dinner, he says, doesn't some cheesecake sound good? Because the Cheesecake Factory was literally like right down the street. So he's like, does cheesecake sound good? And I was like, yeah, sure. I love cheesecake, but at the end of the day, he took me on the date. I assume if he wants to buy me some cheesecake, okay, then whatever you want to do. We go over to the Cheesecake Factory. We just go up to the counter and order our cheesecakes. So the lady asks him what he wants. He orders his, and then he turns to me and says, what one do you want? And I probably said Adam's Peanut Butter Cup because that's the best one there is. And so she types it into her computer, and then she says, that'll be $17.97 or whatever the price is. He just stands there. He just stands there, and it's this awkward pause. Then he looks at me and he goes, I don't see you pulling out your wallet. And
So apparently I suck at telling stories, so I'm going to tell you all the story about the craziest guy I've ever dated. So we're going to call him Mr. SpaceX, and the reason I call him that is because he invested in aerospace companies, and one of the companies he invested in was SpaceX. I want to be very clear, he is not an employee of SpaceX, he was an investor. So I met this guy online this year, and he was the one that messaged me first and asked if I wanted to go on a date. And on his profile, he had a bunch of travel photos, and he was very, very tall and super handsome, and I was like, okay, like, this could be like a catch, like, let's do it for the plot. So he messaged me early in the week, and we were gonna have a date that weekend, and the day of the date arrived, and he messaged me saying that he wasn't gonna be able to make it because he was still on his business trip. This is going to be a very common occurrence with this man. So a few days goes by, and he again arranges another date with me. I agree, and I'm ready to go on said date, and as I'm getting ready for the date, I get a call from him. He bails again. But this time, it's because he is at a charity golf event and he is unable to leave, and he is talking to all these big investors and all these big people. He was name dropping people left and right, and I was Googling them, and they were all very successful CEOs that he was allegedly with. I say allegedly, not confirmed. And
it has finally been long enough that I can safely tell this story. If you are my friend, you already know this tale. So earlier this year, I was dating, and I went on a first date with this guy. He was a dentist. He was really cute. We had, honestly, an amazing first date. He tells me on the first date that he's divorced. He's pretty young, though. I'm 30. He was maybe 31, 32. No kids, no shared assets or anything like that. So I just assume they got married young, whatever. On date 2, because it's obviously not polite to ask on the first date, on date 2, I ask him, so, if you don't mind me asking, why are you divorced? Like, you're cute, you're funny. What's going on here? This is the tale this man tells me openly on a second date. He met his ex-wife in dental school at Columbia Dental, by the way, so she's a smart woman. They meet, they start dating, they get engaged, they get married, etc. They were together in total 10 years. About 9 years into their relationship in total, about 6 months after they got married, he decides that she is no longer doing it for him in the sack. So he develops an addiction to Gone Wild on Reddit, where he meets a woman.
Oh yeah, one more thing. If y'all see me on Love Island, mind your fucking business, bitch. I'm trying to find love, bitch. Y'all had y'all motherfucking chance.
Since we're talking about DMV dating, I moved here from Miami about 3 years ago, right? So when I first moved, yes, I downloaded one of them apps. I did. Or maybe it was AI. I don't know. Anyways, I decided to go on a date with this one guy. And it was our first date. He's like, yeah, pull up. We'll get some drinks. I said, you know what? Let me go get a drink. Because what else am I going to do? I had no friends. I moved here with nobody. I said, okay, let's go get a drink. So we get to the bar. Whole bar is like a horseshoe. So where me and him sat were like in the middle. So, if something happened, everybody could look directly at us. So I'm kidding. I'm not kidding when I say it was about 5 minutes in. I look to the outside and I see that there's this woman with 2 suitcases. Bigger woman. Think me just, this color, short bob type of thing. You know, like the Cookie Monster pajama type girl, right? Please. So she has tattoos, thick this color woman, bob, you know, very hood, you know, gripped my purse a little bit. So she starts getting closer and I'm talking to him, but then I look one more time and she's gone. And as I'm mid-sentence, I see this woman is walking up and she's walking towards the guy I'm on a date with. And I'm like, maybe she's a crackhead. I don't know. I didn't know what to think at that moment, but she walks directly up to him and she says his name. We're going to give him a fake name.
What happened to your eye? I just have really bad hay fever, so they get a bit bloodshot and swollen sometimes. The pollen this year is just absolutely wild.
Okay, now that I've got all of your attention, I have the most insane date story that I have to share. If you've been around for a while or you're one of my friends, you probably know the story. But I always say it's either a good date or a good story, and this one was a good story. So this was when I lived in Austin, Texas a couple years ago. I had met this guy on Hinge, and when I matched with him, he picked a place and a time, and I was like, great. He picked a restaurant for like, you know, 7:30, 8 p.m. drinks, which I thought was kind of interesting, but I'm like, I don't really care. I'll show up. So he picks a place right where he lives. He went to school at UT. I forget what he was studying, but so he picks a place close to him, which I'm like, don't love, whatever, I'll go. I go on the date, and I can always tell within the first like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, how the date's going to be. And I can tell I'm going to hold the whole conversation up and just lead it, which is fine. I can talk to a brick wall if I need to. I don't really want to, but whatever. So the waitress, like the host, takes us all the way back. It's like an old house turned into a restaurant. Takes us to the very back of this damn house restaurant. We sit down in the corner, and sure enough, it's like really challenging to have conversation with him, which is fine. He's really nervous. I'm like, maybe in 30 minutes he'll chill out. He doesn't. And we get a drink, and we're yapping, and it's like everything I ask him, there's like a negativity to everything. I'm like, oh, do you do this? No, I don't like doing that. What about this? No, I don't like it. I'm like, do you love, he lived, if you know Austin, you know the Domain. He lived at the Domain, which actually, now that I think of it, the place that we went was not close to him, but it's close to school. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm like, oh, do you like live in the Domain? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, well, there's really great shops. It's like a great area to walk outside. He's like, I guess. I'm like, what about food? Like, where do you like to eat out there? Like, there's some great places that I like, naming the places. He's like, nah. I'm like, so what do you like? Because I'm trying to find something. Like, I don't care if we share the same interests and likes. Like, I just want to find something that you like to talk about so that you can come alive here. And so basically he's like, I eat at Velvet Taco and like fucking Chipotle or something really basic, or maybe Kava, something like that. He only names 2 places. I'm like, really? Nowhere else? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, then you must like to cook. Do you like to cook? He's like, no. I'm like, well, I just got an air fryer. I love to use my air fryer. It's so easy. He's like, it's too much work. I'm like, it's so easy. You just pop it in. He's like, too much cleaning. I go, I have these little silicone baking sheets. You put it. And he's like, no, too much work. I'm like, God damn, you're lazy. I don't say that, obviously. And
hey guys, I have an insane story time for you, right? So listen, I'll make it as quick as possible, okay? So, I don't know if you remember, at the start of this year, I was talking to a guy, let's call him Caleb, right? This is the guy that had a girlfriend. After about a month, I figured out that he had a girlfriend, and he was like, yeah, I do. Anyway, if you want a story time on that, I'll give you another story time. But that's what you need to know. I was talking to this guy called Caleb, that's funny. Anyway, Caleb used to sing and play guitar, right? We would FaceTime every night, and sometimes he would, play guitar, yada, yada, yada. But he also had a private story where he would post blacked out screen, like a blacked out screen with writing on it, like, I love singing a song, where he would sing songs, right? I knew that the private story was just me. I was the only person on the private story. He was trying to impress me. Bit gay. I didn't really find it attractive, but if it's something that got him off, oh well, I'm happy for him to keep doing it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to judge. Okay, so that's one part of the story. Second part of the story. Last year, I met this guy called Kai Arnott. He's a singer on here. He's really, really good. If you want to search him. He's cool, right? I was speaking to him for a few days. Nothing crazy happened. I was just talking to him, right? And he's a really good singer and guitar player, right? Okay, so last night I was stalking Kai.